This is Joe McClary, the CEO of the Kentucky Association of Realtors, and we'd like to present this video on what we call the Dogbite bill. The Dogbite bill is currently filed in the Kentucky State Senate, and we want to bring to your attention what this is and ask for your support. Let's say that this is a picture of your rental property. 50% of realtors own rental property according to the National Association of Realtors. And there on that property, your tenant has a vicious dog. You don't necessarily know about the dog, but he's there, and he ends up biting an innocent bystander. The question is, who is liable for that bite, and perhaps the damages that would be associated to that bite? Well, common sense would tell you that the tenant would be responsible for their dog, but not according to Kentucky state law currently. Currently, the owner of the home, the landlord, would be liable. And so this bill that we're advocating and telling you about today is meant to address this issue. Senate Bill 123 is currently pending in the Senate Agricultural Committee, and we need you to contact the members of that committee to advocate for this bill. First of all, let's look at the issue currently with the bill. KRS 258 currently defines the following as owners of a dog as follows. The owner, when applied to the proprietorship of a dog, includes every person having a right of property in the dog and every person who keeps or harbors the dog or has it in his care, and here's the key, or permits it to remain on or about the premises owned or occupied by him. That shows you there the issue with the current bill and what places liability with the landlord. So Senate Bill 123 would change the definition of owner of a dog in the statute to read, the owner, when applied to proprietorship of a dog, includes every person having a right property in the dog and every person who keeps or harbors the dog, has it in his care, permits it to remain on or about the premises owned or occupied by him, or permits it to remain on or about the premises leased and occupied by him. This change will rightfully place liability and the risk back where it belongs with who is the true owner of the dog. So why is this statutory change needed? In 2012, can you believe it, this actually occurred. In 2012, the Kentucky Supreme Court ruling in Bedingfield and Zienmeister changed the legal precedent by its interpretation of the statute to make a landlord the owner of a tenant's dog for purposes of legal liability. The impact of the Supreme Court ruling is that it makes the landlord strictly liable for the tenant's dog bites which occur on the rental premises or in the areas immediately adjacent. So what's the likely effect of this new strict liability for landlords? Well, one, landlords can expect to be sued in more cases for dog bites. Their assets will be exposed for bites inflicted by their tenants' dogs without regard to negligence or knowledge. The second item would be that it would increase the landlord's exposure, and in claims will likely lead to higher insurance costs for landlords' liability insurance. Third, many landlords facing increased exposure to lawsuits and higher insurance premiums will likely prohibit tenants from having dogs on rental premises. And finally, landlords who lease property to dog care providers such as veterinarians and dog groomers would also have liability for dog bite injuries occurring on their property. So, by supporting Senate Bill 123, there is a companion called House Bill 311, but our focus is in the Senate at this time because that's where it could live or die. We know that you would be helping landlords by reducing the liability these local small business owners face due to the Supreme Court's overreach. According to NAR, again, 50% of realtors are landlords. And finally, dog owners who will face higher rents or fewer rental housing options due to higher costs of liability coverage for landlords because of this Supreme Court ruling.